this. Welcome and good morning. Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur Maseches Kiddushin Daf Yud Aleph Amud Beis in our daily Amud Yomi Shiur. Daily and Yomi are actually the same thing. And we are in Daf Yud Aleph Amud Beis in Maseches Kiddushin. Welcome to yet another Be'ezras Hashem interesting Shiur about the value of money in the times of Chazal and in today's world too, in today's halachic world. Yeah, the next at least two shiurim are going to be about how you evaluate currencies, money, when it comes to halacha. And we are in the line V'harei Kiddushay Isha. Yeah, the line starts with the word Kiddushay Isha. We definitely have to give an introduction now. Basically, a summary of what we saw till now. We saw in the Mishnah in Kiddushin, the first Mishnah says that the money of Kiddushin, the money that a man gives the woman in order to be Mekadesh her, in order for her Ishus to be his, is acquiring her Ishus. How much money does he have to give her? The Sila say prutah. Prutah means, we're going to see what prutah means. It's not so simple, but with the simple meaning, prutah means the smallest coin that is still valuable. The smallest coin that's available in the market, that's generally speaking. While Bet Shammai say no, they require dinar. Dinar is much, much more than a prutah. Yeah, right? You saw it in the chart. Yeah, there's still a dinar. Dinar is many, many prutos, and that's what Bet Shammai require. Why would Bet Shammai go against what seems to be the norm in halacha? Yeah, the regular standard thing in halacha is for a prutah to be, that's in gezel. If you stole something from someone, you have to give it back if it's a gezel. Less than shover prutah, you can't give back, right? We saw shover prutah for shvua, for many things. Why all of a sudden over here it's dinar? One answer we gave was that Bet Shammai just believed that women in general are more, high class, high standard, and they wouldn't be miskadesh with less than shover prutah, just a dinar. There are exceptions to the rule. There's fancier girls. There are girls who actually would agree. If we know that they actually agree to less than dinar, b'vakasha, great. But the default, unless known otherwise, is, let's say shlichutz or nighttime. You don't know exactly how much the value is. She doesn't know. You assume that her standard of the woman is dinar. That was answer number one. Answer number two, and that's the answer we're dealing with now, is based on what we said previously on behalf of, that's important to remember, an Amoira Rav Yehuda, Omer Rav Asi. Rav Yehuda quoting Rav Asi says that any money, I fell into a trap. He says, Kol kesef ha'omer b'Torah kesef tzuri. What does that mean? The word kesef has two meanings, money and silver. Says Rav Asi, says Rav Yosef, Rav Yehuda b'Shem Rav Asi. He says like this: when the Torah mentions the word kesef, it doesn't just mean money; it means silver. Yeah. Now, silver does not exist with prutos. Prutah and silver just don't exist together. Yeah, there are no nice Hamas people. Yeah, I don't think there are any really nice Palestinians when it comes to us. Yeah, so there's no there's no kesef and prutah at the same time, right? Why? Because the monetary system, as we saw in the chart last week, says what? That the prutah is way less than mo'o, right? And less than dinar and less than sela. Only the three big coins in the list, the sela, the dinar, and the mo, Saddam, sela, dinar, and mo, Saddam. Only Saddam, they are made out of silver. You're very political today. They are made out of silver. The ones below them, from pundi on downwards, are made out of nechoshes. And therefore, when the Torah tells you, I want you to pay kesef, it doesn't mean any money, which could have been nechoshes prutah. It means silver. Money means prutah. That's worth money in the market. Go to the store and you'll buy something for a prutah of copper, of nechoshes. But we're talking of something out of silver. That is called kesef tzuri. Kesef tzuri means it's always 8 times more valuable than the kesef medina. When it's not mentioned in the Torah specifically, when the word kesef is not mentioned in the Torah, and we just know that there's halacha d'oraisa that has to do with money, then it means kesef medina. It means the lower kind of currency made out of copper, and then prutah is the name of the game. We challenge that idea of Rav Yehuda Omer Rav Asi from a few places, and he managed to come out, with flying colors with all the questions. Now we're coming to the final question. Fragt the Gemara, Vare Kiddushay Isha. Look at Kiddushin. By the way, this is very confusing. We're not challenging Bet Shammai. This is very, very important. We're challenging the Amoira. This is extremely important to realize right now. We wanted to say, we want to make a shidduch between the Tana Bet Shammai that says a girl is Kadeshes only with a dinner, right? Mishadich that to the opinion of the Amoira, Omar Rav Yuda, Omar Ravasi, yeah, that tells you that money means fancy money made out of silver, okay? And therefore it's a silver dinar, right? Okay, but it's not that Bet Shammai themselves actually said that everything is kesef too is made out of silver. Yeah, we want to explain Bet Shammai that way. And Rav Yehuda Omar Avasi wants to tell us that anything in the Torah, when the Torah mentions kesef, it means silver and not copper. Look at the very own sugya. We're not attacking the Amoira Rav Yehuda Omar Avasi. What does it say in the Torah about marrying a woman? Ki kach ish isha ubeola, right? It says if a man takes a woman, acquires a woman, it's called kichal, yikach. The goma kicha kicha is the Ephron. Oh, what do we see? It says what we read yesterday in Parshat Shavua. It says kicha over here and kicha where else? In Sod Ephron, the stati kesef asode kach mimeni. So we see what? We see that the word kesef appears in Kiddushin. It appears also regarding what? Regarding buying the field, it says kesef. And therefore what? Therefore, it seems like the minimum to acquire a woman should be really a dinar. Okay. But look what the Mishnah says. Basilal oimri, Basilal say, prutah b'shov prutah. Basilal say, not like that. Basilal clearly did not believe in the concept of kesef mentioned in the Torah means silver. They said it can mean copper. It means the minimal amount of money. Nema avasi domo ke Bet Shammai. Bet Shammai are not in trouble now. Bet Shammai, they think like Bet Shammai. But you, Rav Asi, if you say that kesef always means dinar, always means the silver, fancy ones, if so, comes that your Rav Asi is an Amoira, you follow Bet Shammai, not Bet Hillel. In other words, your concept is only true according to Bet Shammai. They say you need a dinar when it comes to kesef kiddushin, kesef mentioned in the Torah, but Basila clearly didn't say that. Ravasi, you're in the losing team. Ravasi, you're on the wrong side. You want to tell me Ravasi is like Bet Shammai? Amoraim are not supposed to follow Bet Shammai. Bet Shammai have been, already out of line. We don't hold a Bet Shammai from the Mishnah onwards. Says more in Shabbos, beginning of the 6th parak. Bet Shammai bimkom Basila ain't a Mishnah. But Bet Shammai say, if Bet Shammai and Basila argue, except for a few places, we say what Bet Shammai say doesn't count. So you're following the wrong team. Ella, therefore we tweak a little bit what the statement of Rav Yehuda Ravasi is. Ella itmar hachi itmar. If you want to learn the statement of Rav Yehuda Ravasi, this is what you should be learning. What should you say? Kol kesef kotzuv. Amo batoiro kesef tzuri. V'shedivreim kesef medina. What does that mean? What's taktsiv? Liktsov, budget. Liktsov means to, when the Torah tells you the amount of money, when the Torah itself writes black on white, ink on parchment, when the Torah says the amount of money, then the Torah gets very specific, very demanding. She wants you to pay exactly this amount of kesef. And that's when the Torah wants us to pay kesef tzuri, the big one, the fancy, valuable one made out of silver. But shel divreihem doesn't mean derabanan, as I told you before. Anything which could be the oraisa, but Chazal, the Torah left it to Chazal to decide how much the sum, the amount will be. That's kesef medina from the Choshes, so now it's very good. Why? Because really now it's all reconciled. Really, when it says kesef, right, and it doesn't say kesef, how much kesef. Does it say in the Torah how much kesef should the person be mekadosh the wife with? No. It says ki kach, then kicha kichas def, right? And then kesef means silver money. I don't know. Then it could be prutah. That's what Basilil believes, and that's what Rav Yehuda Ravasi believes. Only when the Torah tells you 50, we're going to give all the examples soon, anyways. For example, give me one example, new from your knowledge. When does the Torah ask you for a specific amount of money? Shloshim shaleved. Efron is not a halacha or lemaisa. The Torah does demand of you to sell your field for 400. No, sorry. No. I'm talking halacha lemaisa. Oinus mefata 50, Eved 30. 5 sloim for the firstborn. I'm surrounded by amazing scholars. So now what? So now the shall divrayim, unless it's specific, it could be nechoshes. Only with the Torah demands specific amounts, then kesef, we're talking here about real silver. So Kiddushin is okay. Somebody told me a very nice idea on Leil Shabbos, yeah, a little bit of a break, that what does the Torah teach the kesef of marriage from the kesef of one burying his wife? Yeah, which is Avraham Avinu. What's the? Is that the source? Is that the romantic source to tell the chosan under the chuppah? You know, even Mikdash with kesef, and we learn it from Avraham, who wants to bury his wife. So he said the answer is yes, as opposed to the goisha shkofa on marriage, which is two people just living together, hopefully ever after. But our shkofa on marriage is eternity. Like you have to know, there's olam haba. Your wife and you are going to have generations to come. You're going to be together in olam haba, as the Ohr HaChaim HaKodesh says. Right at the beginning of the marriage, the outlook should be far and beyond, into a beyond life, the afterlife, even the burial of sorrow, and not represented by the burial of sorrow, not just the here and now. It's not just about what we're doing right now. Weiter. Frekt the Gemara. My kamashmalan. What's the chiddush? In other words, is that what Ravasi really came to tell me? Yeah. Nina, we learn in the Mishnah, yeah, in Bchoros, Daf Memtes, I think, it says there, Chomesh Sloim Shel Ben, very nice, as you said. It says in the Torah, the 5 Sloim that one has to give the Kohen. Yeah, how do you say Kohen in English? Kohen. Yeah, yeah. The 5 Sloim that you give the Kohen for the firstborn. Shloishim Shel Eved. Shloishim Shel Eved, if a bull gored a human being and killed it, then you have to pay koifer. You have to pay koifer. Yeah, if it's a shol muad, you have to pay koifer, which is either the value of the actual value of the victim, or it's machlokes, or the value of the aggressor, of the owner of the show. But if it's an eved or shifra eved knaini, there's a set amount of shloishim. Whether the eved was worth 10 sloim or 50 sloim or 100, it's always shloishim. Yeah, it was also shloishim. Actually, it's shloishim shkolim, I think, not sloim. Yeah. So what does it say there? Okay. Okay. Now, so shloshim shel eved is a set amount. Chamishim shel oinisu shel mefate. A person who raped a girl, besides paying her a lot of other money, all the 5 nezikim and boishes and pagam, he also has to pay her the actual chamishim as a set knas of 50 shekels. What's 50 shekels? No. Don't think of that, little note that you have that eggs and milk and bread already cost 50 shekels. If you remember all the time, how much did the soda of Yirmiyahu cost? 17 shekels for a soda in Yerushalayim, an apartment in Yerushalayim. That's a few million shekels, yeah? So 17 shekels, what Yirmiyahu bought, that's 17 shekels. So 50 shekels is a lot of money. It's like 2.5 fields in Yerushalayim, that's money, okay? So that's real money. He has to pay the girl, the shel mefate. If he seduced her, he has to pay the father. He has to pay the father. He was not so happy he seduced his daughter, right? He has to pay 50 shekels, and there it says chamishim shkolim. Shekel, by the way, is not in your chart. I know it's not in the chart because this chart is based on Tiferes Yisrael. There are 2 kinds of shkolim, by the way. The shekel we saw above Metzia is halfway between Sela and Dinar, is half a Sela. But there's another shekel of the Torah which is higher than both. Yeah? So now, v'shel mefate, mea shel moitzi shemra. Wow. If a person blamed his wife for being unloyal, yeah, and it came out, we're talking that she was unloyal to him before the nisuin and after the kiddushin, when she was, let's say, meorosa, and it came out that it was wrong, yeah, and he claims that she has to get skila as an ara meorosa, and really she didn't do anything wrong. To prove it, he has to pay her 100, or the parents, in case of Nara, he has to pay her 100 shekels. That's a lot of money. That's already more apartments in Yerushalayim, yeah. Kulam b'shekel hakodesh. All those are measured. What? Moitzi Shemra is worse than Onus Mefate. Godal machtir yoser min horgo. I guess the lashon hara. Yeah. What it's boishes. He caused her shame. Yeah. That's Ashkofa Sedar. He should know anyway. The Moitzi Shemra, he only pays 100. The Oines, as bad as rape is, he pays her 50 shekels, but he has a lot of other things to pay anyways. He has to pay nezek tzar ripu sheves boishes, and therefore on top of that he pays 50. So anyway, he pays a lot. The oinus pays a lot of money. Not kedai to rape a woman in Yiddishkeit. Yeah, it's a lot of money, and they make sure he pays it. Otherwise, they force him. They don't know. They sell him, whatever. They make sure he does. And the what's in the moitzi shemra is the 100. Now, what are those? Says the Mishnah, excuse me, Kulam b'shekel HaKodesh b'monetzuri. All of them are b'shekel HaKodesh, the shekel mentioned in the Torah, shekel of the Torah, not the shekel you have in your next door store, b'monetzuri. B'monetzuri. Oh, so the Mishnah says mufurash that the money that is specifically in which the sum, the amount is mentioned in the Torah, is monetzuri, which is very, very nice, but that's what's a chiddush. If that's what Rav Asi came to tell us, it's a Mefursha Mishnah. What does an Amoyer have to tell me after the Mishnah already said that? I'm going to come to Shiur now and tell you, guys, I have a big Kiddush for you. You're not allowed to eat chazir. Excuse me? I had too much wine on Shabbos. What's the story? Yeah, absolutely. I hope you will. Yeah. Answers the Gemara. No. B'shil divreim kesef medina itzrichalei deloitnan. Oh, the other part, the other statement, the second part of the statement is what? Divreihem, meaning, again, divreihem is not necessarily the Rabbanon. What's divreihem? Sums that could be the Oraisa, but are not mefurish. The sum is not mefurish in the Torah. The Torah tells you have to pay money, but doesn't tell you how much. Yeah, they are measured with a lower kind of monetary system, which ends up with kesef medina, right? Which could be also prutah. It's stricha that we do have to mention deloitnan, because that is not mentioned mefurish in the Torah. That for sure not in the Torah. It's not mefurish in the Mishnah. It's not mefurish in the Mishnah anywhere. The Tanya, because we'll give an example which we saw at least twice in Bav Metzia Daf Lamed Zayin, I think. The Tanya, it says in the Brisa, tokea lechaveroi, a person who, and this is people should know, a person who's like Baal tokea. Let's say you blew the shofar or you blew a trumpet, you just went like in someone's ear. Yeah, let's say you really made someone deaf. Yeah, you made someone not to make kuloi when it's mamish deaf, but let's say you caused him tsar. Yeah, the oznoi. Yeah, either you hit him by the ear or you mamish. You screamed in his ear and you scared him off in a way that damaged him physically. Yeah, there was physical damage to his hearing. Yeah, because you went like bah, like he got scared. Also, could also be traumatic. There are also discussions about that. So tokea lechavero, or you held him, and while you held him, then you scared him off. So it's ma'aseh b'yadayim. The kitzer, you have to pay him. It's one of the nezikin of the 5 nezikim. Nois and lo is sela. You have to pay him a sela. You have to pay him the amount of sela. What sela? The highest amount. You have to give him 1 sela, and that's what Chazal decided. That's not written in the Torah. The 5 nezik, the 5 teshlumim for nezek are generally written in the Torah. It doesn't say how much. Chazal have estimated many estimations. I don't know what would Dafka pick on that, but Lemaisa, there are many places in Bava Kama, mainly in a Choyvel, in the 8th parak, where it discusses the 5 different payments, right, that you have to pay someone if you damaged him physically. This is an example of one of these damages, and then Chazal are the ones to decide how much you have to pay. Here, Chazal standardized it by Sela. Nobody said that to Chazal. The Torah didn't say how much you pay. The Torah left it to Chazal's own estimation, their own evaluation, to decide how much you pay. And then decided Sela. Sela is a lot. Sela is the most expensive of the list, right? I don't have the list in front of me. I gave it to you. Yeah, Veloy Tema. And don't tell me, no, it doesn't tell how much. What kind of Sela? What kind of Sela? I don't know what's a Sela. Veloy Tema, my Sela Arba Zuzi. One would have thought maybe Sela is not the Sela you have in your chart, which is 4 Zuzim, right? Okay, and that's actually true. How much is Sela did we say? The most, right? The highest amount. Ela my Sela Palga de Zuza. The Sela here is not the Sela that is the most expensive, the most valuable coin. Sela actually here means half the Zuz. Half a Zuz means what? 1/8 of a Sela. Even I know that, right? Because how much Zuz, by the way, is Dinar. Opo, please add that to your charts and make me feel better about not doing it myself. Zuz is a dinar. It's just a synonym. Okay, do me a favor. Zuz dinar. Okay, like pound. What's the other name for British pound? There's a slang word for it, right? Forgot. Bucks or dollars, right? Dollar, buck. Yeah, what? A quid. So just like pound is quid, so to dinar is zuz. So if Sela is worth 4 zuzim, right? So some people call Sela half a zuz. How much is half a zuz? 1/8 of what we call Sela. Here's the difference, voila, between Tsuri and Medina. You have 2 kinds of Selas. You have the Sela, which is the expensive one, the Tsuri. That's the one you have in your chart. And some Sela is what? Sela could also mean half the zuz, which is half a dinar, which is eighth of that. The avdi inchi, the karolepalge de zuza, istera. Some people call half a zuz istera. Istera is sela in Aramaic. Oh, very good. In other words, when it comes to what? To the dinim that are not mefurish in the Torah, the amount is not specified in the Torah, and now we're telling you sela. The Mishnah says, you know how much the person has to pay if he punched his friend in the ear, Khalila, or he booed him in the ear, then what? You have to pay him sela. I leave the Mishnah uninformed. I don't know. I just read the Mishnah, and let's say I live in the times of Chazal, or let's say I'm a big mumche for currencies of the Talmud, which I'm not. Yeah, then what? Sela, how much is a sela? Did they mean sela, the sela? The tsuri, the expensive one, the one on top of the list? Or did they mean the Medina, which is an eighth of that? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Comes Ravasi and tells me, oh, really, when Chazal talk in their own lingo, in their own terms, describing money of the Araisa, which is not mefurish in the Torah, then it's Sela Medina or anything of Medina, which is a cheaper one. And that is clearly a Chidush. End of answer number 2. Yeah, you're going to be tested about the different answers, the different explanations for Bet Shammai. So far, we had 2 explanations. Explanation number 1, what did we say? Why do Bet Shammai require dinar? Because girls are fancy, women are expensive. And what? And they would not go for prutah, they would go for a dinner. Give her dinner and then be mekadesh with a dinar. Now, what about the second answer? Bet Shammai themselves hold what? That every time the Torah says kesef, this is, by the way, good summary to what we just said. Let's not get confused. Bet Shammai themselves, they believe that every time the Torah says kesef, regardless to whether the amount is specified or not, Bet Shammai believe what's kesef? Kesef is expensive. It's kesef medina, kesef tsuri. And therefore what? And therefore we can't go for prutah. Wait a minute. If you don't go for prutah, what's the lowest amount? What's the lowest currency which is for kesef? Ma'a, right? Oh, so you remember what we said in Rashi, and the Gemara will say it later. If ma'a, so why dinar? Why dinar? If you, l'choira, the minimum should be ma, not dinar. The answer is, if the Torah, what's the message the Torah is sending us by writing the word kesef? I want real money. Real money is not the minimum, not the lowest, well, not the minimum, the lowest one of the silver coins. Once we talk money, we go already to the higher silver coin of dinar. That's Bet Shammai. The Hillel think otherwise. They think only when the Torah says kesef with the number, chamishim of oines mefatish, shloshim shaleved, 5 of pidyon and ben, it says the amount, then we go for the expensive, for the more valuable silver one. Okay, but we have a good answer for Bet Shammai. Bet Shammai zchutam to believe what they believe, that any kesef mentioned in the Torah is kesef tzur. That's answer number 2. Answer number 3. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish Oimer. Rabbi Shimon Lakish is Reish Lakish. You know that it's the same person. Rabbi Shimon Lakish Oimer as follows. Tamar de Bet Shammai ke de Chizkiah. The reason of Bet Shammai, they follow Chizkiah's reason. I just want to introduce to you again what we're going to learn in a few days. Could be by Thursday if we're lucky. There's a concept called Yi'ud. Yi'ud means, it's unfortunate Parshas Mishpatim, Lo Ya'ado Vehefdo. If a man buys an Amma Ivriya, right? Just have to explain the mentality of that. That's actually my Megiddo and Yeshiva told me. Very Choshev Yerushalmi guy of Zevald, unbelievable Talmud Chacham. The idea of selling a girl to an Amma is the way to get her out of poverty, right? The parents are very poor. It says the person who lost all his money ends up, because he dealt with shvis, it's a punishment from Hashem. He has to, unfortunately, sell his daughter to an Amma, which is not pleasant. He has to sell her to an Amma. What's every Amma's dream? If she comes from a poor home, to marry the Balabais or marry the Balabas's son. From, how do you say? From rags to riches. From rags to riches. You ever read all these fancy stories? Fantasy. So from rags to riches. She wants to go from rags to riches, and the Torah allows her to do that. How do we do that? The money that the father got in order to sell her for an Amma, as an Amma, eventually, many machlokesim, but the classical way is that eventually this money will turn retroactively as money, not retroactively, it becomes money of Kiddushin once the Odin decides. Once the Odin and the father decide, I want to marry your daughter, or my son will marry your daughter, yeah, then this money, we say that same money was potentially convertible to money of Kiddushin, and we don't need extra money to pay, yeah, the father will not get more money from the Odin. The money that he got, the father originally, turns into money of Kiddushin, and from some point onward, she becomes Mekudeshes to the Odin. That's Yud. Okay. Continues the Gemara. Domer Chizkiah. Now that's reason number 3, alternative reason number 3 for Bet Shammai. It says in the Torah, vehefdo. What does vehefdo mean? Lifdot. What's pidyon? Pidyon shvuim. To redeem. He should redeem her. Now we're not talking about Yud. We're actually talking about the other way. What happens when a girl, actually could also be a boy, a man, were sold into being an Eved or an Amma? There is a good way to get them out by paying the Odin. How do you pay the Odin? The Hefdah means that part of the redeeming, of the redemption, if you would like, is also done by the Odin himself. In other words, usually when you redeem, yeah, Lola Yimach Shemav Zichronam should burn in hell very quickly, the Hamas, yeah, they're holding the hostages, yeah, it's very, very hard, right, to get the hostages out of their hands, right? They demand and demand and demand. Usually people who are holding somebody that requires pidyon, they're not cooperating. Here the Torah says that the Baal Habayis, the one whose Amma is redeemed from, yeah, he should financially cooperate with the people redeeming the Amma. What does that mean? Well, what do you mean by that? Melamed teaches you shemegaras mipidyoino veyoitzo, which means that ligroa is to always deduct and deduct. You have to deduct from the pidyon, and then she gets out. What does that mean? Let's say you bought an Amma for 6 years, yeah, which is the amount, yeah, or let's say she's 6 years old, anyhow she'll go to the age of 12, or stam, the general 6 years of the Amma. So let's say you bought an Amma for 6 years, and do me a favor, let's say with nice round numbers, she's a very good Amma. You have no idea she can do the dishes and the floors and the windows and change the babies all in one go. Unbelievable. You sold her for $6 million. Okay, $6 million. That's very, very easy. Why? Because $6 million can be divided to 6 years, which means, let's say he bought her for $6 million. Now, after 3 years, comes the family. The family, you know, I don't know, the father won the lottery or got promotion at work. Now her father wants to redeem her back, right? In the middle of the 6 years terms. So now I could say, the Odin could say, well, she's worth 6 million, so give me 6 million. I gave you 6 million, yeah. Give me 6 million back, then you'll see your daughter again. But we say, no, we divide the 6 million. We don't evaluate her as being worth 6 million. We look at it as kind of rental or lease, and we say every year is worth $1 million. Yeah, that's what 6 years, $6 million. It's easy. 3 years have gone by already. 3 years are out. Now the Odin should accept only 3 million and not 6, and get her out and give her back to the family. In this way, he's helping. In other words, he should not insist she is worth 6 million. I paid 6 million, and that's it. You know, she's still worth 6 million be'etzem. No, we look at the value, and we're megarea, what's called in English to deduct, right? You deduct prorate, and you deduct also. It's also called deducting from. She's not depreciating. No, she could actually be better. No, it's not true. I insist. I'm sorry for a change on the English. It's deducting from the amount that she was already there, right? 3 years have been paid for already by her working. She worked for 3 years, so 3 million were already paid for, so to speak. We gave you the value. Now all you can do is, yeah, give back 3, and that's it. Yeah. No. No, the boys can no. I'll deal with it later. No, Daniel, the answer is no, and I'll deal with it soon. Okay, thank you for your question. I'll deal with it soon. Okay, the Omer Kro hefdo melamed shmegras mepinyon veyoitzo. Oh, says the Gemara like this. I omert bishlam of la Dinar. Now we're now going to compare a girl being sold to an Amma to a woman being miskadeshes. If you say that he gave her a dinar, hainu de magra v'azla ad prutah. Let's say the girl was sold for 1 dinar. I don't know how it can be so cheap. In theory, the girl is a very bad worker, or maybe it's a symbolic amount, and then he paid him other things. Lo meshane. Let's say the girl was sold for 1 dinar. Then it makes sense. Why? You can divide dinar into what? 6. How much is a sixth of a dinar? It's valuable. It's more than a prutah, right? Yeah. So every one of the 6 years is what is worth something, and then you megare until prutah, which means there's still one prutah at the end of the journey when you, the father or the good uncle, want to redeem her back, to get her back, you can still say, hey, Mr. Odoin, yeah, all is left is one prutah or more than one prutah. There is still money left. Yeah, take that money, take the prutah or the sixth of the dinar of the half the dinar, and give the girl back. You'll understand better now. But if you tell me all she originally was sold for is a prutah, if that girl was sold for servitude for prutah, prutah divided to 6 is a sixth of a prutah, which is less than a prutah. Prutah mi migara? How can be migara prutah from prutah? Less than pruta is always known to be what? Worth nothing. Less than pruta is like 9 agorot. Yeah, there's no such thing. There's no such value in Israel as 9 agorot, maybe in theory, yeah? Bipruta mi megara, there's no such thing as, you can't start off with the minimum. Oh, that's a definition. You can't start off the sale with that amount of money, yeah, that you can't deduct from, because deducting from pruta means nothing. So the system doesn't work. So you see that an Amma, Ivriya, let's say you want to do something symbolic or funny, you can't. You can't just sell it for pruta, because the money has to be potentially deductible. Wait a second, how do you know? Before we compare it to a woman, leave the woman aside for a minute. We're only talking now about the Amma Ivriya. The deal, how do you know? Maybe that's the way it should work. That's what the Torah wants us to do. In other words, the Torah says she doesn't always have to be what you don't always have to deduct the money. When you gave her a dinar, a nice amount of money, then you deduct every year is a sixth of a dinar, and then you megarea, you deduct ad pruta until let's say only half a year is left, only 1 month is left. Ashes 1 month by you, take the pruta, Mr. Balabos, and free her for that 1 month. But maybe in case where all you gave originally was only pruta, then the Giron system doesn't work. In other words, who told you that Giron system of deducting, how do you know it always has to work? When there is enough money, you give him some of it. When you don't have that amount of money, then no, then she can't be nifta. Who told it's necessary? Who told it's an imperative? No, it doesn't make sense. And here you'll thank me for telling you about Yud. Do me a Yud. We compare now the regular sale of an Amma Ivriya to a detail of Amma Ivriya called Yud. What does that mean? Ma Yud, again, let me just repeat the question. What did you want to ask in the question? Why are you proving to me? Well, again, let's just summarize what we saw in the past 2 minutes before we continue to Beis Amud Aleph. We wanted to say as follows. We wanted to say to prove through fire and water that an Am Ivriya cannot be sold for a prutah. It has to be more than a prutah. It has to be dinar, something mechubad, a dinar, because it has to be a system in which you can chip and deduct from the original amount. But if the entire amount is what is just a prutah, which is the minimum, you can't be poida with less than minimum. That's what we wanted to say. Frag the Gemara, how do you know? The Gemara asked before, why? Maybe when you can, you do the pidyon and you do less than you do deduct. When you can't, you can't. Who told you it's an imperative? When you can, you put it. Otherwise, no. Says the Gemara, no, it has to be like Yud. Yud based on Mudal at the top of the page. My Yud, we explained already what's Yud. Afel gav di bai miyad, right? Vi boy lo miyad. Yud doesn't have to happen. No, the Balabais doesn't like her. His son doesn't like her. Absolutely no. Yeah, she votes for a different party. I don't know what. She's not their style. They're classy people who wants to marry this Amma. Not every Amma is going to eventually be misyaid, right? Some of them will finish the 6 years tenure, say goodbye, ciao bambino, and go home, right? Not every Cinderella becomes a thing, yeah? She may stay an Amma till the end of the 6 years. And yet, kol heicha deloi matzi miyad, what's matzi? Can. Whenever he cannot be miyad, lo havuz binas bini. Wow. Although Yud is not an imperative, is not a necessity, and may not happen, you have to have a potential Yud there. If you sell your daughter to a kind of amus, to kind of servitude in which what? In which she cannot be married to the Balabais, that sale is not a sale. Every sale has to be potentially yud. Give me an example, Rabbi Isa, while I pour my tea. What kind of Amma, what kind of situation is it that an Amma is halachically not allowed to marry her master? Easy. Yeah, you get a candy if you know the answer. In Judaism, is a brother allowed to marry a sister? Rabbi, I have this disturbing. So maybe her brother is rich. The family is not so rich, but the brother, he's 25 years old, yeah, and he manages a huge company, yeah. I don't know. He's the owner of Waze, and what? And now he wants to buy an Amma. And Amma has to be a sister. He'll treat her very nicely. No, you can't do that. Why can't you do that? Because every Amos has to be potentially royally used. Exactly. Yeah, has to be in potential, has to be royally used, and this is not. Achinami here too. Whenever the sale is such a sale in which the deducting system, the chipping off system cannot work, even if you want, that's not a sale. So just proven through fire and water and fireworks that what? Not Kiddushin, that Amma Ivriya cannot be sold for a prutah. It has to be more than prutah. And again, and the next best thing after prutah is Dinar, although there is more in between. But the message is it has to be real money. That's all very nice about an Amma. I promise I'll answer your question soon. Daniel asked the question, I'll answer you. But let's just finish off. Amma. Who's talking about an Amma? We're talking about the respectable marriage of a woman. And says the Gemara, V'kiddushin isha Bet Shammai nafkelu me'Amma ivriya. Bet Shammai learn not the whole of Kiddushin, but the concept of money being given to a woman, the amount of money that a woman receives in her marriage, they learn that from Amma ivriya. Ma Amma ivriya beprutah lo mekanya. Just like Amma ivriya cannot be sold for a prutah, as we just very nicely proved. Afisha beprutah lo mikadsha. A woman cannot be miskadesh also by prutah. Now comes the question which I kept telling you all the time: the ema palga the dinar, the ema shtei prutos. Okay, you just proved to us very nicely. Thank you very much. Wow, I'm so wowed by the comparison to an Amma ivriya, and prutah just doesn't do the trick. But the question is, why did you jump to dinar? The ema palga the dinar. Maybe half a dinar would be enough. Maybe 2 prutas would be enough even, right? In other words, we know that prutah is treif. Prutah is not going to work for a woman just like it doesn't work for an Amma ivriya. But how do you know that you already jumped to dinar? Yeah, there's ma'a in between. There are many others. There's 2 prutas, 5 prutas. Why do you know dafka? Why did you jump all the way to dinar? Answers the Gemara, as I told you many times before, because Rashi said it before, Kevan da pikte mi pruta ukma adina. Once a pikte mi pruta, once you got it out of the pruta, in other words, once the Torah told me that pruta is not enough, yeah, for whichever reason, such as because I'm going to compare it to Amma ivriya, and the Torah compares Amma ivriya to the woman, telling me it's the same, that none of them are not pruta. That's a message behind it. Think when you learn the Torah. Don't learn it like a robot. The Torah is sending you a message that a woman should be nikna with more than a pruta, because we're looking for higher, more valuable money. Once we want real valuable money, we're jumping not to the next best thing, but to the next best thing above that, yeah, which is dinar. As I gave you the example, if a couple comes to the real estate dealer and they say, yeah, that crampy place of 3 tiny rooms is not good for us. If he's smart enough, he's not going to show them the next apartment he shows them is not going to be 3 tiny rooms and another meter by meter little, yeah. Show them already a bigger place, 5 rooms. Yeah, I want big is big. Yeah, I want a new standard here. I'm moving from the copper system to the silver system. I might as well go for the gold. I might as well go for the dinar, no less than that. Daniel asked the question on Zoom, yeah, and that is the question is, if it's a boy that's sold into servitude, can the person taking the boy to serve him decide he wants the boy to marry his daughter? The answer is no. Yeah, no. And the answer is like this. there's a huge difference between girls that are minor getting married, as we saw in yesterday's parsha by Rivka, and boys. Boys under bar mitzvah is not simple b'chlal they can marry because they can't acquire, right? A boy is never under his father when it comes to Kiddushin. There are shittas, there's some gray area about boys that are almost bar mitzvah, if they can be Mekadesh when he's 12, maybe there's a Kenyan. Generally speaking, the boy is a big boy when it comes to Kiddushin. Either he can't be Mekadesh b'chlal because he can't acquire. If he's, let's say, 10 years old, he can't be Mekadesh. And if he's above bar mitzvah, he's a free man. He's not up to the father at all. So nobody's there to decide for him. The girl, on the other hand, when she's up until the age of 12 and a half, very good. While she's Ktana and later Nara, which is between 12 and 12 and a half, the father is in charge of her Kiddushin, so people should not abuse her. The father has to be in charge because, the girl can be easily seduced into marriage, which we don't like. The father is in charge, and the father, just like the father is in charge of her getting married, is also in charge of lehavdil, her becoming an Amma. And in this case of Yud, we actually combine the two. That's all we did. We're combining the father being in charge of her marriage to the father being in charge of her servitude. Yud is a combination of both. That's all the Torah does there. Yeah, a girl is in the reshut of her father. We want to protect her daughters, tznius. So up until the age of 12, she's under the father. Once she's 12 and a half, she's a completely bogeres gdola. Do what you want. Marry the guy you want. And bevakasha, yeah, and pay for your own wedding. Okay, beseder. So that's the third answer. Third answer. Yes, soon you're going to tell me all the answers. So what's the third answer? Why is it Bet Shammai require a dinar? That is because we compare the Ishus, the kinyan Ishus, to kinyan of an Amma. Just like an Amma does not go for prutah, as we proved, because you have to deduct from that. So too, a woman cannot be miskadeshes b'prutah. Once it's not prutah, we fly high to dinar. Now, Rove, last but not least, Rove Omar, it's machlokes rishonim. Rove Omar, Hainu Tamed Bet Shammai. This is Bet Shammai's reason. Shelo yu b'nos Yisrael kehefker. Rove says as follows. I really think the pashtus, yeah, midoraisa, I think that really anything could go. Prutah is good enough, midoraisa. Why? Prutah is always good. Prutah is always considered as money, halachically, for gezel, for whatever you want, yeah? Pikodo and Shavua, Prutah is Prutah, right? However, there is a gzera derabbonon not to treat B'nai Yisrael like hefker. In other words, it would be like, like hefker, like it's a contemptuous thing. It's a contempt for the girls that they buy them with something so minimal. So according to Bet Shammai, Chachamim instigated such an idea, not that the girl wants it. The first answer was that the girls, they don't go for less than that, right? The second and third answers were more like the oraisa. The Torah requires kesef, that's what the Torah wants. Or the Torah requires kesef like what? Like Dama Ivriya. The fourth answer is not about the girl, and it's not about the Torah. It's a different concept of the Rabbanon. Rabbanon said, we don't want girls to be miskadish for such a small amount of money. Not mechubad. You're treating the girl like hefker, yeah, because you give her such a minimal amount of money, and therefore Basilo did not feel that way. Basilo did not feel that way. If you feel that you don't know why Basilo did not feel that way, I will comfort you by saying that Basilo may say, that's my own idea, I haven't seen it anywhere, there's a ksuba. In other words, a man is not allowed to actually be with his wife physically if there's no ksuba, right? And the ksuba gives her a lot of kavod, and in case he, excuse my language, kicks her out, then he has to pay a lot of money. So she has a lot of financial security and covered. The Shammai required that this covered should be in the actual Kiddushin, not just as a side thing, which is a ksuba. So what are the four reasons? I have to drink my tea. Oh, yeah, you can ask your questions now. It's tea break and commercial break. People are asking, people here are concerned time and again about the poor choson that may not have a dinar to marry. Dinar is a lot of money, maybe doesn't have dinar, right? So he barely has money for dinner, let alone for dinar. So now, and there's a mitzvah pruvu, we want to encourage marriage. The answer may be, I think, that first of all, we hope people have money. And if they don't, then the idea is one of the first things it says about tzedakah is la'asiyo isha. Yeah, it's in Bava Basra and also in tzedakah, one of the, as we all know, achnos skala, right? Achnos skala. I was once fundraising in a North American city, name and address withheld, and I was fundraising for a kollel, and the guy was with me all the time. He was collecting for Achnasas Kala of his own daughter. He did much better than me. Yeah. Baruch Hashem, no, I'm complimenting the people of that town. So the Achnasas Kala is the big thing, and I guess part of the Achnasas Kala is the dinner of the ring. You have to pay for the photographer. It's all the Raisa. Photographer, videographer. Yeah, you have to have a hall. You have to have the band. You have to have Yaakov Shweki. So part of the things that you should, not that collecting for tzedakah is ideal, but I'm saying if you, in the situation you're portraying of a person who's so poor, then I guess part of the chassan expenses is the dinner, is the valuable dinner ring. He has to put her on finger. Kach nirali. Unless that was my answer to you, and that's my answer to you, or he has to save money from. Or I would answer back, esrog is expensive and tefillin are expensive, and you see the poorest of reichim, the Samo buy the most mehuda tefillin to the kids. In other words, if Bet Shammai felt that this is really important, that Kiddushin should have value in order to make women valuable, so it's an expense. It's expensive to be Jewish. You know that, right? Especially, right? In America, you lose a lot of days of work, right? For Cholamoid and all that. So Baruch Hashem, Yezayche, Ta'olam Haba. Yeah, that's my humble answer. Okay, but halacha is like basilil, that we can all comfort ourselves that prutah is enough. Okay, yes. Now we're about to enter a very interesting topic, an extremely interesting idea to do with our daily, everyday life. If I would to make a fancy title of that shiur, I would say when tradition and finances meet. Which means that we all know about the concept of shove prutah, right? We know that la'alocha we follow b'silel, and in most cases, prutah is the name of the game. And I grew up thinking that prutah is the minimal amount of money. Yeah, whatever the Torah decides is the minimum amount, or whatever people decide is the minimum amount, is what prutah means. And that's, that affects all kinds of areas in halacha, such as Kiddushin. Now, the question is not so simple. As you heard, I was vacillating myself. That's actually the same question of the Gemara. Do you follow some Torah idea of what prutah is? Maybe something given to Moshe. We're going to mention Moshe Rabbeinu soon. Is a prutah something like a kazais? Kazais, I don't care what people think is kazais. The Torah gave us a kazais. The millions machlokes about how much is kazais. Kazais is the amount of food that for most purposes is important. It's either like a small matchbox with all around it, or it's at 28 grams, whatever, Sfardi, Ashkenazi, Reb Chaim Noah, yeah, maybe Shiur Chazon Ish. But kazais is basically a kazais, regardless to whatever, it's not what people decide, what kazais is. It could be smaller than that. Mashenka, when it comes to prutah, is it something that the Torah decided is valuable? There's a minimum value decided by the Torah, or is it the minimum value of the market? Tachlis, when the Torah talks about choshen mishpat, about paying money, giving money, koine, it's to do with the world of commerce. So maybe at this point, I don't sound like a koifer, we'll leave everything on the side and we're going to ask our good friends, the banker, the money changer, the finance expert. Tim McKenzie became a finance guy, Tim McKenzie and Tom McKinley, they'll tell us how much is prutah. They'll tell us, what is the minimum value of I don't know, dollar or cents, in the market. Maybe that's what prutah is. Let's see. Prutah. Sava of Yosef Lamima. Rav Yosef wanted to say prutah kol dehu. Prutah kol dehu. I'm obliged to read Rashi. I thought not, but I will. It's a small Rashi which is a little bit above where we are in the Gemara. Kol dehu. Kol masha doiros mishani misamatbea. According to whichever generation changes the minimal coin. Which means in the times of the Gemara, coins were coined in the mint, and the value had to do with the actual size of the coin. So sometimes the government, they would regulate the money, and they would have the minimum coins having, or any coins, more silver or less silver, more copper or less copper, and every time the prutah, which let's again assume, and that's what the Rishonim and the Chonim say, prutah is the minimum amount. Every time the minimal, the minimal coin, the minimum currency changes, and every time that's what prutah should be. In other words, you ask Tim McKenzie, you go to the bank, or you just look in the newspaper, or just figure it out yourself. What is the minimum amount of money that's valuable in the market? Maybe something you can. What's the smallest? You can buy something with 1 shekel. I don't know, chewing gum. So maybe shekel would be prutah. half a shekel you can buy something, maybe half an hour in the mazgan, in the machine. So half a shekel is shava prutah. And it changes, we all know, right? 10 years ago, you could have bought something maybe for 10 agorot. Now you can't. So I'm only stamp throwing numbers, yeah? Not lahalocha. So 10 agorot was once valuable. Now it's not valuable. Maybe now half a shekel is a prutah. Very, very simple, seems to be. At this point, Rav Yosef seems to be very simple. And he says, listen, prutah means kol dehu, the minimum amount. What's minimum amount? B'chol dor v'dor. Every generation has its own minimum amount. And that's prutah. And that's what you give your sweetheart under the chuppah. And you give her that prutah. Amar le Abaye, says Abaye to Rav Yosef. Abaye challenges Rav Yosef. Abaye was his Talmid. Yeah, Abaye was the disciple of Rav Yosef. Amar le Abaye, the Alok Tani, excuse me, Rav Yosef. But it does say in the Mishnah, just regarding that, regarding the prutah of Kiddushin of the Sealand, which you claim is just any minimum, and go ask the banker, it says in the Mishnah that there is a specific amount. The Alok Tani, it says about that, Kamei prutah, how much is the prutah? Echad mishmoinu b'isarei talki. You see that the prutah always has to be an eighth of isarei talki. Wait, according to you, that's not true. Why? Let's say isarei talki stays the way it is, right? The Italian Issa is a very specific, the Issa you have in your charts, yeah? Let's say the prutahs became very cheap. Let's say now in one Issa Italki contains 10 prutahs, right? Let's say things change, whichever reason. The Issa you also have to remember Issa and prutah, let's say American dollar as opposed to shekel, in comparison to shekel, yeah? Things change, fluctuate every day. So let's say Issa Italki is now not 8 prutahs. Let's say now it's worth more or less. In other words, let's say now in one Easter you can get 10 prutahs. According to you, Rav Yosef, well, what the Mishnah says is not true. You say, no, I'll go to the market, and now the prutah, which is the minimum amount, which is the 10th of an Easter Italki, is also good. Look, people buy with that. Easter Italki, Luciano is giving Luigi a prutah, which is a 10th of Easter, and they're all very happy, and they eat their macaroni. So what? We see, that's not what you're saying, Rav Yosef. You're saying that anything goes, and yet the Mishnah says it has to be stuck on an eighth of Isarei Talki. In other words, Rav Abaye is claiming, as we're going to see soon more, that it has to be a set amount. The Torah has a certain idea that prutah should never go below an eighth of Isarei Talki. Oh, you can claim, and you'll be very smart, maybe Isarei Talki fluctuates, legit, but then still prutah always has to be an eighth of Isarei Talki, right? And you can't just go down below that. If Isar Italki becomes prutah becomes as low as less than 8 of Isar Italki, there'll be a problem here. Because Rav Yosef would say that it's still called a prutah and legitimate because that's what goes now in the market, and I don't care. And it says about Rav Yosef, I'm sorry, you're wrong. The Mishnah says that we are set on a specific amount which the Torah requires, more like kazais, not like whatever people say. The chitema, and if you want to tell me, hani mil b'dor shel Moshe, maybe you, Rav Yosef, Abaye is now playing the devil's advocate. Maybe you, Rav Yosef, would tell me, you know what the Mishnah means when it says Echad Mishmoina? That means in the times of Moshe Rabbeinu. Oh, this means a lot of different things. Yeah, says the Ritva. The Ritva says, B'dor shel Moshe. Maybe you want to say like this. Really, there are places where there is no prutah. Wow. Meaning, Rav Yosef, require that the money should be called prutah, should be some kind of copper coin called prutah. Some places are so fancy they don't have copper coins called prutah; they only have higher coins, and therefore, in places where there is no prutah, there's no current currency called prutah. Then, by default, we go to Moshe Rabbeinu and we say, "Oh, in the times of Moshe," and this is what seems to be the truth. In the times of Moshe, a prutah, when the Torah was given, written before, was given, that's when a prutah was an eighth of an Isar Italki, of an Isar, and or equivalent to eighth of Isar Italki. Maybe Isar Italki didn't exist, but there was like a set amount. By the way, that's halacha. There's a set amount compared to silver. Yeah, we're going to discuss it later. There was a set amount in the times of Moshe, and in case there isn't actually currency nowadays called prutah in certain places and times, then we go to the 1/8, we go to the Doraisa set amount. In other words, according to what Abaye says now, Rav Yosef would hold that there are two systems. There's either a system of the going rate, the going currency wherever you live, a prutah, and if you don't have that going rate, that currency in your town, then you go to the Dor Shel Moshe. Or, second answer the Ritva gives, let's say the girl says, I want the prutah like Moshe Rabbeinu. I know that today the prutahs went down. I'm not like all these other girls in the street. I want to be miskadeshes with a prutah like the one of Moshe Rabbeinu. Then we say that the ultimate doraisa set prutah is 1/8 of Isar Italki. Aval hocho, but over here in the regular here and now, in regular everyday life, the way people consider it, the way people calculate it to be a small pruta, which means, let's summarize. According to Abaye's challenge, pruta has to be a set amount, 1/8 of Isar Italki. Maybe Isar Italki changes. You don't go to less than 8 of Isar Italki. Even if people are very happy to sell Chinese toys or chewing gums, something small, for less than 8 of Isra Talki, Abai says treif. No, I don't go for that. That's what the Mishnah means. 8 of Isra Talki and nothing else. Well, Rabbi says no. Well, Rav Yosef, as Abai suggesting, would say, no, there are two options. Either what people think, what people want, which would be way less than 8 of Isra Talki, or 8 of Isra Talki is if people dafka want to go with the Doraisa, not to the local market, that's an option. If that's what you're going to tell me, Abai is attacking more. Abai was playing devil's advocate very well. Frekt Abai, no, Rav Yosef, I would not go for that shot. Vehoki also Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi came, allow me 2 more minutes. I'm sorry, I know we're over time. We can't stop now. Vehoki also Rav Dimi. Now, Rav Dimi was the one who transferred the Torah from Babel to Eretz Yisrael to Babel. He would travel back and forth all the time to tell Rav Zivi and Rabin. They were like the messengers. They would always go between Eretz Yisrael and Bavel to tell people what they're doing in the other yeshiva. Listen to Rav Dimi says, Shiur Rabbi Simoi bedoiroi. Rabbi Shimon in his generation, not generation of Moshe Rabbeinu, kama ipruto echad mishmona b'Yisrael Talki. Oh, in other words, it's not the times of Moshe Rabbeinu. No, in his generation of Rabbi Simoi, he followed the same concept of 1/8 of Yisrael Talki, and he did not go below that. He didn't say, that's a Moshe Rabbeinu thing when some crazy woman wants to be miskadish. No, he was mechashev in his times, the 1/8 of Isar Italki, and never went below that. That was his minimum. Rabin, later after Rav Dimi, Rav Abin was the one who'd go back and forth from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, and he said, Omar b'disto Omar, Rabbi Dostoi, Rabbi Yana, Rabbi Ushia Shiaru. These three Amoroim, Mishar, Kame v'Pruta. Don't let this confuse you. They said the prutah is not 1/8 but 1/6. But lemaisa, it's the same concept. It's a set amount. We see that in every generation, you have to stay with your Isar Italki, calculate how much is an 8 of Isar Italki, and then you can tell the chosan, you're preparing the chosan. Oh, let's hear Masader Kiddushin. And the chosan tells you, I'm poor. I can only afford the prutah basila, no more than that. I'm sorry. I don't even have Shweki singing in my wedding. So what do? Look, Rabbi Anai and Rabin, what do they tell you? And Rabbi Dostor and all those, they say the Rav has to sit down with what? With calculator, calculate how much is Isra Italki, 1/8 or 1/6 of Isra Italki, and that's Pruta. According to your view, it's ridiculous. Why? According to you, what are you talking about? Go to the market, go ask your child of 5 years old, what can you do with 1 shekel? The kids know better than us. Hakol b'shekel. What can you buy with half a shekel? If you can buy something with half a shekel, gesundheit. Which calculations? According to Rav Yosef, it's a completely secular idea. Just go to the market, see what's the minimum amount, and gesundheit. Yeah, and therefore we remain in the machlokes in the middle. We're very much in the middle of the forest here. Very fascinating, and there's very nice Pnei Yoshua. Remind me tomorrow to tell the Pnei Yoshua. Everyone in Torah anytime, in YouTube, and the Zoom people here, and everybody in this room, beautiful people. Thank you, and Baruch Hu to you, Yaakov. So nice to see you again. Have a good day, peaceful week. Mashiach should come soon, as the goal is Baruch Hashem coming to an end. Hatzlacha uvracha. Questions are welcome.